Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Port City Living, the podcast about life in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. I'm a real estate agent, and my co-host is Brad Brown, and I just hit my microphone. Damn it. That's going to sound real good. This is Brad Brown. He's a mortgage lender. Hey, Brad.
What's up?
What's up?
Same old, same old.
Same old, same old. Today, we thought we would talk about something that we said we weren't really going to talk about because we wanted this podcast to be fun and about life in Wilmington. But we thought that it might be a good idea to actually talk about what we actually do for a living and kind of give everybody an idea of what the real estate market and the mortgage landscape market looks like right now, because it's kind of weird. Wouldn't you say it's kind of weird?
Well, I was told before the number one question that we should all get asked repeatedly is, how's the market? Right? You hear that all the time.
I totally hear that all the time.
Yeah. How's the market? How's the market?
And that's not an easy question to answer.
Well, the best answer is it's like nothing I've ever seen before. and if the person who gave me that line 10 years ago is listening, then I'm sorry, I'm not totally stealing your thunder, but it works. It works in good times and bad times and crazy times. And
well, I had an agent that I was following for a while, and their advice was to say, well, it depends. It depends on the product that you have if you're looking to sell. It depends on the location of where you are. It depends on lots of things. And so it's not just as cut and dry as saying, oh, it's a great market, everything's selling. No, it's not that easy, because not everything is selling.
Correct.
I mean, this is October 2024, and I've been in the business for next March will be 10 years. It's been it's been a seller's market the entire time I've been in the business. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what it's like to be in a strictly buyer's market, or even a balanced market for that matter.
Right.
I sometimes think we might be balancing out, but we're not still. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of weird. And I guess you can talk about the mortgage situation and the rates and stuff. And I used to be in the mortgage business, but that was a long time ago. And, I know, what was it, 2020 or 2021 when the rates dropped so low?
2020 is when it kicked off.
When things dropped down to like 2.5 or whatever.
Yeah, because I remember in March when everything shut down, and I went probably 3 weeks, and I said, "This is it. This is going to do me in. We're going to file bankruptcy." Because I literally went from life day to day to all of a sudden we're working from home. My phone's not ringing. I'm barely even having to check emails during the day, and I was like, "You can't make a living like this." And then you couldn't go grab coffee with somebody. You couldn't go to an office meeting with somebody. You just had to basically reinvent yourself and figure out, okay, how are we going to make this work? Yeah. And then, of course, we all know that's where Zoom came in and Teams and all that. But I really thought that those first 3 weeks was going to be the end of me.
Scary for all of us. I did eventually start showing houses again, but of course it was very, buttoned up and masked. And we had to, I remember we had to, certain houses we had to put gloves on, and we had to wipe everything down, and it was crazy. It was crazy. The things we did. But then when the rates dropped, and then that's when it started going crazy here in Wilmington. Yeah. I think what happened was that when the COVID thing finally kicked in and people could work from home, or they had to work from home, they didn't have a choice. Then it carried on long enough to where people were like, businesses and companies were like, well, okay, well, you can work from home, and now you can go wherever you want to go and live. And so I think people flooded into Wilmington.
They did.
And I tell everybody, I said, our little Shangri-La that we have here was no longer a secret, because people were flooding in like crazy. And I remember people used to say, oh, I bet you just made tons of money selling real estate. And actually, I didn't, because I was working with a lot of buyers then, and it was so hard for people to get a contract. Yeah. Because they were, in North Carolina, we're a due diligence state. So there's a due diligence fee attached to all of our purchases here. And for those of you listening that aren't in a due diligence state, it's a little bit different. And we were starting to see due diligence money go up in the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, whereas historically, you might see $2,000 maybe. I mean, don't you see about that average?
I
maybe
think,
not even quite that much.
I think when due diligence fees began, I think the intention was to be a few $100s, kind of like like good faith money.
It's almost like, thank you, Mr. Buyer or Mr. Seller, for taking your house off the market. Here's a little money for you for doing that. Let me figure out what I want to do here. Let me do all my investigations and everything I need to do to make sure that this house is right for me. If it doesn't work, I'll walk away and you can keep that little bit of money.
Right.
But now it's
like the convenience or the inconvenience fee.
It's an inconvenience fee because when you go under contract, the seller actually takes their house off the market, or it goes into a pending state, which is to most people not favorable. They don't want to look at it then because it's pending and they don't want to deal with it. They want to find something that's active.
Yeah.
And so this due diligence fee has gotten sort of out of control.
Yeah.
And it really got out of control during COVID, because I remember some friends of mine said that they had listed their house. They didn't use me. They used their agent they bought the house from, and they got $120,000 due diligence fee.
Yep.
That is stupid.
Yeah. So true story. Now I wasn't part of it, but the we'll call it the urban legend in the office at the time was one of my coworkers had some buyers in Raleigh, and they were being outbid even no matter how much the due diligence fee went up. So finally the umpteenth home came on the market. They made an offer and put the entire sales price of $750 into due diligence. Because even if it was a $10,000 due diligence, that's still an opportunity for that buyer to walk away.
Right.
So they're like, this is it. We're giving you basically all of our cash up front. We don't want it back. We don't care about inspections, don't care about an appraisal. Here's all $750,000.
And we were seeing that too. We were seeing appraisals being waived.
Yeah.
Or people just weren't doing them. They were doing whatever they could do to get the property. And it was really, in my opinion, really out of control. And I think that's part of our job as real estate agents to reel that in a little bit. And I think a lot of people were not reeling that in at all.
I've had some conversations with people where they make the offer, and then I'll reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, did you get the offer from John Doe? And they say, yeah, but that due diligence isn't quite high enough.
And it was probably what?
Like $1,500 on a $300,000 home.
And what were they wanting?
And I never knew what they wanted, but the home had already been sitting for 45 days.
No.
So why do they care? I mean, at least they now have an offer.
Right.
And that's why you negotiate. So go back and ask for more due diligence.
And I think in North Carolina, and I can only speak to Wilmington area, but I think the due diligence thing, we get a little hung up on it.
Correct.
And I think we get hung up on it for the wrong reasons. And,
correct.
And I think there needs to be a balance. So, we're not in the time frame like we were in during COVID. Due diligence has calmed way down. It's still a little crazy sometimes, but we backed way off of that now. So that and the rush now to buy here is not anywhere near like it was. Yeah. And so that's why we say that the market's a little squirrely, because it just depends on where you are in Wilmington. I mean, I see things go on the market and they go into contract immediately, and I still hear some agents say, "Oh, I got multiple offers." But I think it goes back to the product of what it is. It's not everything's doing that, because as of it's April. I've got a listing downtown, a sweet little condo. If anybody's looking, it's a great little place. It'd be perfect for a second home or, a long-term rental, because this particular HOA doesn't allow short-term stuff. Right. But it's been sitting on the market for 165 days, and I can't figure out why. I mean, it's just, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But then, I put another condo in the middle of town on the market that's under 200,000, and it went immediately. So it just depends. But
did the other one allow the short-term rental situation?
It does.
Okay, so maybe that's just the turnoff then.
Yeah, that's a big thing, guys, is that if you're looking for investment property, everybody wants their versatility. So they want to be able to rent it long-term. They want to be able to rent it short-term. And when we say short-term, we mean like Airbnb type situation. Right. And not all HOAs will allow that. And that makes it really frustrating for some people, because they want versatility in their property.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, obviously that's the main reason why this one's sitting here. But rates have come down some, a little bit. And I was going to touch on that whenever rates came down to the 2.5% mark. Don't you think it's funny how Americans just automatically assume that that's the Bible now? Rates are 2.5, and that's what's normal.
Yeah.
And that is not true at all.
I had a conversation with a client, I think it was last week, and we kind of got going early on, and she mentioned something about, but is now the time to buy? Like, I understand rates are high, and I'm like, well, define high.
It's
subjective. So I said, define high. What's high for you? And she goes, well, I heard they're 6%. And I could not
That's
control
not
it.
high.
And I just started laughing. And I'm like, you realize that that's below the historical average.
For the past 50 years, the average was, what did I say, 7.5 or 7.25, somewhere along there?
It's in that
low 7 area. So that's the national average for the past 50 years.
Correct. Yeah.
So 6% is great. I mean, I used to work in the mortgage business back in the late 90s, from 98 to 2002. And our 30-year fixed rate was around the 7% mark the entire time.
Yeah.
And we used to sell a lot of 5-year ARMs. You and I have had this conversation before, which I don't think that's a thing anymore as much.
That's something you talk to.
Yeah. But I mean, I dealt with a specific group of people who relocated with their companies quite often. So 5-year ARM made sense to them. But, so I just think it's fascinating that people get so used to something so quickly when that is, and the thing is, and I know you hear this too, I'm not going to buy right now. I'm just going to wait till the rates get back down in the 2s and 3s. And I'm like, that's
wait a really long time.
That's never going to happen.
But I also have just had this
lifetime.
conversation last week thinking, when you hear that, like people say, I've got a 3-month plan or a 6-month plan, 9 times out of 10, they're calling you that weekend for a pre-approval letter. I think they say that they've got these long-term plans and they're waiting for X interest rate just to keep somebody off their back for a while. They want to take their time with it. But lo and behold, something's going to come on the market, or they're going to see the place they have to have, and then they got to scramble to get their stuff together.
Well, I know people that work with me kind of, I hope, appreciate my take on real estate. Like, I don't try to shove it down their throat. Right. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not here to sell you anything. Right. I'm here to guide you.
Correct.
And I'm here to educate you. Yeah. And hopefully you appreciate that if you like working with me. And I'm not one of those that's just going to harp on you all the time about buying something or whatever. And I think you pretty much take that same approach because, everybody's trying to sell you something these days. Yeah. And that's one, and this is a big decision. This is not, you're not buying a appliance or whatever. Correct. You're buying a piece of property that's a, big decision. And nobody wants to be harped on.
I generally like to tell them sort of what their options are because I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be a salesman. I want to be that person that guides you through this process, which is your largest investment ever. And so I generally will find myself saying, this is how we do it, but the ball's in your court.
Right.
You let me know when you're ready.
I use that term way too much.
Yeah, I definitely use it. But then I find myself, there are times where I do get that call on a Saturday afternoon and they have not started the pre-approval process and they want to make the offer and we're going out to dinner. I mean, like, those are the things that I think buyers should be thinking about in advance is, okay, I know it only takes 10 minutes. I know I'm going to do this in the next 6 months. Let me make sure everything checks out and is okay so that when they are ready, they can pull that trigger. I don't ever want it to feel pushy, but, sometimes logic has to override that, feeling of being pushy.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot from people that come to me and say, I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm like, okay, well, and I have a series of videos on my YouTube channel, Port City Living, that talks about the steps to take to buying. Yeah. And I've got the whole series laid out for you, what you need to do, and it kind of explains it as you go. And the very first thing I tell people is like, you need to get approved with a lender. And because, when I first started in this business almost 10 years ago, I would show houses to anybody. Yeah. Oh, you're not approved yet? Oh, that's okay. We'll do it later.
Right.
Go show it. But just because I was so eager to get out there and start working.
Yeah.
And the longer I'm in this business, like, you can waste a lot of time with people and they will let you waste your time with them. And so my stance on that is, if you haven't talked to a lender, then I'm not going to talk to you about, or we're not going to look at houses for sure. Right. We'll talk about the buying process, but I'm definitely not going to show you houses because I'm not going to waste my time or your time. Even when people say, oh, but my credit's good, or the seller's time. Exactly. Yeah. You're putting them out because I've got a listing right now, where they're older. They've got to get up and get out of the house and it's a task for them. And you think about it, if you're not approved and you're wasting everybody's time, that's absolutely unfair to everyone. And so my thing is, you need to get approved. It's not going to be necessarily easy, especially for people who are self-employed. You're going to have to pull a lot of paperwork together. Mm-hmm. But if you really want it bad enough, you'll do what it takes. And maybe get your life organized to where that stuff's already together to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I find so fascinating is people just don't seem to have their life together.
Right.
And they aren't ready and prepared for this kind of thing because, you know as well as I do, self-employed people, it takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more paperwork.
Yep. But, walking out the door today, I think I did a pre-approval and he applied online. I got the notification. I was in the file and done within about 10 minutes. Yeah. And it's not hard.
It's not hard.
Straight salaried individual moving from one state to here. It's not hard, and they're gonna hopefully be making their offer tonight.
And if you guys are listening, the pre-approval process, Brad works for Atlantic Bay Mortgage. They're obviously not the only lender out there.
Correct.
There's tons of them. And if you have your favorite lender, go talk to them and sit down with them. But the process can be pretty easy with all of them. I think everybody pretty much has an online situation now where you go key your information in, or they should if they don't. Yeah. Maybe some of the old school people don't have that, but it's not that complicated, and it's something that you really need. But getting back to the market part, it is odd right now. And, I very fortunately am sort of busy right this minute, but I hear a lot of agents that aren't at all.
I hear the same. And I hear the same on the lending side too. Like I've picked up, got good traction all of a sudden again. The phone's ringing again. But look, you have one silly little report come out that makes no sense. And not to get all political, but is it, politically driven,
right?
What they're saying, and then rates, the gains that we lost all of a sudden. So it is
just,
weird.
You have to take a lot of this information that you hear with a grain of salt and don't take it so literally for what it is, and look at the big picture of things. And, it's never a bad idea to invest. People are like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to buy right now, or I'm thinking about it, but it's never a bad time to invest ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Now,
as long as you can afford it, if it fits in your budget and you can afford it, because that's the other cliche I use all the time, and I think it might be my own cliche. I don't know, but we do talk about budget. We talk about obviously the price point, but then let's talk about budget, because people moving here don't understand. Yeah, I hear your taxes are a fraction of what we're paying in New Jersey, but then we've got the higher insurance that they're not accustomed to paying to, so it might kind of be a wash. So I say, what I tell you can afford isn't necessarily what you want to spend. So we got to have that part of the conversation also. Well,
I think for years, and then when I was in the mortgage business, it seems like people would spend every dime that they could afford.
They want to.
And now it seems like the trend is that I may be able to afford a $500,000 home, but I only want to spend $350,000. Right. So that's all I'm going to look at. I don't care what it looks like, or what I don't. I don't care that I can afford that, because I don't want to.
Correct. Yeah.
Because with the quote unquote higher interest rates, it does make a difference. I mean, it really does. But so this might be an awesome time to talk about. People want to know the difference between like 6.5% and a 7%, because like, oh my God, I can't go to 7 because that would be outrageously crazy. But really, there's not that big of a difference.
Well, it depends on the loan amount. I mean, $1 million. That's a big difference.
But a $350,000 to $500,000 really not going to make that much
huge difference.
So what's the rule of thumb?
Well, again, it goes back to the loan amount. I mean, if you have a set loan amount, I don't know that there is one, but that loan amount and that interest rate every eighth of point could be $12, or it could be $25. It just comes down to the loan amount.
Yeah.
Math. That's all.
Math. Yeah. But I'm like you when it comes to not being a salesperson. I'm more of a guide, and I show them the facts. I show them the numbers, and kind of give them ranges and ideas of what things should be, especially if I'm listing something, or if I'm working with a buyer too, and they want to make an offer. It's like, this is where we are. Now it's your offer or it's your listing. So you tell me what you want to do, and we'll go that route. The market is odd in Wilmington, and it's not consistent, and I don't know that it has been for a while.
Yeah.
But and again, it's election year, so that tends to screw things up a little bit too, because people get a little scared and they don't want to do anything because they're afraid that whatever. I mean, we certainly. I don't foresee. And people say, don't you think? Do you think we're going to have a recession again? And I'm like, I don't see that. But
I feel like we might be in it.
We might be in it. I mean, yeah, in some kind of version of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but I was not in the business back then when all that was going on, so I don't know what that was like.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if you're thinking about buying, do it. Invest in Wilmington. Wilmington's a great place to invest in.
Or at least have the conversation with the professionals.
Right. That's the thing. Oh, and here's something really good. Don't listen to your friends.
Please.
Don't listen to other professionals that are not in the business. Talk to the professional real estate agents. Talk to the professional lenders. Don't listen to what people are saying on TV. sit down, find somebody that you have a rapport with and somebody that you think you can trust.
Yeah.
And they're going to guide you in the right direction. And they're going to tell you honestly, because I'm one of those that I'll say, I don't think this is right for you right now.
Yeah.
Especially, like, for example, I have a lot of out-of-towners that come here and want to buy in Wilmington. They want to invest, want to relocate because, let's face it, Wilmington has great weather. We're pretty much a mild area all the time, and we get a lot of northerners down here that they want to get out of the snow. They want to get away from the heavy taxes. They love Wilmington. And I have often told people, come to Wilmington, rent for a year, get to know the area, then purchase or think about purchasing a home. Don't purchase right off the bat because you may end up in a area of Wilmington or a neighborhood that you don't like.
Right.
Because, every area's got their places that are more desirable than others. So that's my little piece of advice for people coming to the area.
What's your craziest real estate story?
I don't know. I think about that often because I hear that being spread on Facebook all the time in these real estate groups. Like, what's the craziest thing you've ever had to do or whatever. I don't really think I've had anything crazy.
Really?
I know once I goofed up, and this has been years ago. I had a listing, and the buyer's agent wanted them to throw in the riding lawnmower that goes with the piece of property. It was quite a big piece of property.
Yeah.
And I said yes, and then I forgot to talk because we were at the point where we needed to sell. Like it had been on the market a while, and I said yes by accident, and I forgot to run it past the sellers. I gave their lawnmower away, and so I had to buy them. I had to spend it, and it was one of those nice ones. So I had to give them $1,500 for a riding lawnmower. I really screwed up big time. I know they hated me after that, but I gave it back. I mean, they got another one.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they got a new one.
Stuff does happen.
On top of it.
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
But I can't think of anything else crazy like that. I mean, I have been very, very blessed in this business, and everything's pretty much gone smoothly. There's been a few hiccups along the way over the years, but nothing. I'm me. I'm very ethical. I do things by the book. I'm always worried that I'm going to say the wrong thing or screw up some paperwork or whatever, and I'm always on edge because I want my clients to be happy.
Right.
And I was talking to an agent the other day, and I kind of take the approach of, yes, I'm working with you, Mr. Buyer or Mr. Seller, and I'm representing you, but I want everybody to be happy. I want the other agent to be happy. I want the seller or the buyer on the other side to be happy. Yeah. It needs to be a win-win because I don't think it's not us and them.
Yeah.
It's all of us. This is a transaction that everybody needs to be happy with. And I think I've pretty much had that happen for the most part.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
What about you? Have you had anything crazy in that?
I have so many stories.
Do you really? I'll think of something after we stop recording. I'm like, oh, I should have mentioned this, but anyway.
Yeah. No, there are, and it's like, what's even appropriate to share, you know?
Throw it out there.
So I was in a call center environment for a while before I was doing retail loans, like pounding the streets like I do now. And I had this couple from another state, and the loan went great. Everything was, he was an older gentleman. He had to be in his, I'm thinking 70s probably. And he tracked me down like months after the loan closed. He found the address to where we were, and he sent me a Christmas card. It's a picture of him, the wife, and their dogs. And I was like, well, that was really sweet of him to send me that card. And then it was like 4 months later, she's calling me. And I'd never really talked to her at all, but she in hysterics, and she was screaming. And I was like, okay, first of all, like, what's going on? And she called him by name. She goes, he's dead. He's dead. He died. And then I got the whole story about him dying after a date night out, heart attack. There were blue pills involved.
I am assuming that it was not with her.
No, they were together.
Oh, they were together.
Yeah, they were together.
Okay, so he didn't have some side hustle going on.
Yeah, no, it didn't sound like it. But like I said, there were definitely some.
Why
blue
did she
pills.
call you and tell you that?
I don't know.
That's odd.
I don't know, and I think it was like a few weeks after the fact, but she was still kind of hysterical. Maybe just in the buildup of it, of what was going on, but that's just like one.
I still think that's very odd for her to call you up out of all the people in the world to get hysterical and tell you that.
Really. Obviously,
you must have really did a good job on the mortgage.
My team knew about it, but they were like, "What in the world? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Why she called you?
That doesn't make any sense."
But she did, and so I was like, "Well, maybe he was like like I was his adopted son or something. Who knows? He was a really, really good guy. He seemed like he had a heart of gold, but being out of state,
not.
maybe not. Maybe a heart of tainted gold.
Sorry,
but all right.
Those little blue pills, they'll screw up a man.
They sure will. They sure will. What I've had people like. There was one woman that just the weekend before closing was screaming, blood curdling screams, over something on the final number was like $15 or whatever. And she goes, "Oh my God, we're all packed and we're headed down to North Carolina. We close in 48 hours and you don't have this." I'm like, "It's okay. It is. I promise it's okay. It's $15. It's going to be resolved by the time you get here." But I think that was just.
$1,500. I would get a little crazy about. Correct. Maybe, but $15.
Yeah. I think it was just that was in a series of things, not on our side, not on the realtor side. It was new construction. They had some hiccups along the way. That I think that was just. On a Friday night, one little thing to push her right over the edge. What put her over the edge, and she could not control her.
And this process is daunting for some people, because there's a lot of moving parts to all this. There's no way for me to sit down and explain the buying process in one little conversation. It's because it's like I tell everybody. I said real estate transactions are all the same, and they're all completely different.
I say no to it.
And it's like there's no way to tell you how things are going to fall into place and how things are going to happen because, the general idea is the same, but everybody's nuances are just different. And,
I had a friend ask me the other day who's under contract. He said, "So at what point can we get really excited?" And I was like, "Well, there are two levels
when you're
on
moved
the
in.
excitometer. You want to of course I've done my part, but I'm like, once the underwriter approves it, that's the first level of excitement. Once it appraises, that's the second level.
Right.
And once you get past due diligence, you feel like you're kind of on easy street at that point. You're just kind of coasting to
close. That's what I tell my people too. It's like, first of all, we get excited because we got the offer accepted. We're good there.
Yeah.
Then we need to make sure that you can get approved.
Yeah.
And then we make sure the house appraises. And then once we're past the due diligence point, then you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still things can go wrong because I've had things go wrong up to the last minute.
Right.
But, you don't really, and people were like, "When do you start celebrating?" I'm like, when my compensation check is cashed and in the bank.
Yeah.
Because I've had so many deals just not work out for whatever reason. And you can't, in this business of being a realtor, you work on commission. So you kind of hope that you get it, but I don't ever count on anything until it's in the bank. Right. And then I can say, okay, I've done it and we're good. And so it's a very interesting world. I think a lot of people think that what we do, I guess maybe people think this about your business, but and especially my business, I think people like, "Oh, I'm going to get my real estate license and I'm going to be a realtor and it's going to be awesome." And I'm like, well, it is, and it's a great career.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the people get in it for the wrong reason.
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of people think that they're just going to make shit tons of money and they're not
going
to work that hard. They're going to show a few houses and it's going to be fun. And it's the exact opposite of that.
Correct.
It's a lot of hard work. I have had crying spells. I have had heart palpitations. I have quit this business 200 times.
Yeah.
I've had panic attacks, and it's just because I care.
Yeah.
And I say this a lot. I can always tell the agents that I work with that they're in it just for the money.
Right.
I'm in it for the experience, for the career aspect of it, to build lasting relationships. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm into it for.
Yeah.
Money's great and all, but money's not everything.
Right.
And am I killing it like some people? No, because I'm picky about who I work with. I don't want to work with just anybody. Yeah. I want to work with people that get me and I get them, and we have a camaraderie. And I would rather work with people who are referred to me, or people that I know, or things like that. I just don't want to turn tricks. Just
right.
Yeah.
I get it. And I do see that on your side more
than yours.
Than on the lending. And maybe the lending just comes with so much guidelines and programs and all that. And people do think realtors probably just go out there and open a door and sell a house. And I know it's
it's not that easy.
Obviously. But I do see more fall into the role of a real estate agent thinking it's going to be money hand over fist.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are agents out there that are killing it, and they're making an incredible living.
But they didn't just have it fall in their lap.
No, it did not just fall in their lap. I mean, they put, you can spend a lot of money in this business. I know you spend a ton of money advertising. You can spend a lot of money really quickly because, in this business, we have this, shiny object syndrome where there's always an agent promoting, they've done well in the business, and then now they're promoting their little class that they're taking on how to do this, or I bought into an agent that taught me how to do my YouTube stuff, which was valuable because I spent my little money with her, and it's been extremely invaluable. And I think my YouTube channel has been a huge success. But people can spend a lot of money in this career, so you just have to be very, very careful with that. But overall, I think Wilmington's thriving. It's doing good, and the market here is good, just odd, and it depends on what the product is. So if you are thinking about buying or selling in the Wilmington area, the greater Wilmington area, like I cover Brunswick, New Hanover, Pender counties. Brad, you do all of North Carolina, right?
North Carolina and South Carolina.
Yeah, so for anybody looking to get a mortgage in the state, then you can reach out to Brad and talk to us because we're good guys and we care.
Yeah.
What is it that used to have on flippers? We're obviously not lesbians, but remember it was lesbians that flip or lesbians that care. What was it?
What in the world?
It was an episode of Will and Grace.
Turned
I know
so
it did.
Quickly.
No, but it was an episode of Will and Grace where there was a lesbian couple that were like hardcore real estate agents, and I think Will and Grace decided they were going to become real estate agents too, but they were going to be flippers that care or something like that. Don't you remember that? No. Maybe I'm having a hallucination. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a stroke.
And it was like, was that the original Will and Grace or the original Will and Grace, new Will and Grace? Yeah.
But we are a mortgage lender and real estate agent that care.
That's right.
We care, and we really want to educate our buyers and sellers and all that stuff. So we're going to have all of our links to all of our information down below. So if you're interested in talking to us about buying and selling and the mortgage process, please do. We would love to talk to you. It's we try to make it fun, and please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and forward this information to your friends and family because we would love to be part of the Port City Living podcast family, right, Brad?
Yes.
Cool. Yes. Do you have anything else to say about mortgages?
We talk
such
about
an interesting topic
every day. Yeah.
What's the 30-year fixed rate right now?
It varies.
I know.
That's the other big question.
I knew what so that's the other question. I get that too.
Yeah.
And I know you get it all the time. What's the 30-year fixed right now?
Yeah.
You can't just spout that out because, as I have learned, it depends on
it's
lots of things.
Program, loan to value, credit scores, occupancy, all kinds come into play.
So if you want to know, ask and we'll dive deeper for you.
You got it.
Cool. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. And remember, if someone doesn't have a smile, what, Brad?
Give them yours.
Give them yours. Bye, everybody.